Today we're talking about dividing polynomials, and as you can see right here, I have a binomial in the numerator, a monomial in the denominator. So the procedure for this is I'm just going to take each term in the numerator and divide it by the term in the denominator. So I'm going to have 2x over 2 plus 4 over 2. And then I'm just going to simplify each one. So this just becomes x, this becomes 2. So we're left with x plus 2. You guys can go ahead and try this example. It's a little more involved, but the procedure is the same. So you're just going to take every single term here and divide it by 2x. This one looks a little bit different, but it's the same kind of thing. I would just suggest to rewrite it. So I have xy to the negative 1. That means I'm going to make the exponent positive and move it to the denominator. So I'm just going to rewrite this first. So it's 3x to the third power plus 2xy minus 1 all over xy. And then from here, I'm going to separate it. Just take the extra time to do this. Try not to do it all in one step because then things get missed. So I have 3x cubed over xy plus 2xy over xy minus 1 over xy. So I'm going to go through, because this is still a monomial in the denominator, I can go ahead and divide out like terms. So I'm going to divide out an x with an x in the numerator, and that gives me x squared. So this term, I'm going to have 3x squared over y. Plus, I'm going to divide out an x here and here, divide out a y here and here. So I just have 2 left over with that one. And there's nothing that I can divide out in this last term, so I'm just going to write it like that. And that's the answer. So that's it for dividing by a monomial. It gets a little bit more involved when we're dividing by a binomial. Now there are several different ways to divide by a binomial. I'm going to show you the easiest one, well, what I think is the easiest one. So another way to look at this is z squared plus 2z minus 24 divided by z minus 4. Okay, so this and this are saying the same exact thing. It's just a different way of writing it. So because I'm dividing by z minus 4, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find if z minus 4 was graphed, I'm going to go ahead and find what the 0 would be. So I'm going to set the z minus 4 equal to 0 and solve for z. So z equals 4. That's what I'm going to use in what we call synthetic division. And this is how synthetic division works. I'm going to take the coefficients of every single term in the numerator. So for example, the z squared, the coefficient would just be 1. So I'm going to go ahead and take each of these coefficients, 1, 2, and negative 24. And then I'm going to take what the 0 would be, which is 4, and that's the number I'm going to be using for the synthetic division. So this is the procedure. First of all, I'm just going to bring down this 1, and then it's just a series of multiplying and adding, multiplying and adding. So I'm going to multiply the 4 times 1, and it goes right here. So 4 times 1 is 4. I'm going to put that right there, and then I'm going to add these two numbers together. That becomes 6. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to multiply 4 times 6. That number goes right here, and I'm going to add, and so this becomes our remainder. Whatever the very last number is, that's our remainder. So because there's no remainder, that's a good thing. And what I'm left with, these become coefficients of the result. So as you can see, I started off with a z squared. When you're writing your answer, you're going to go 1 less than the exponent. So this just becomes 1z plus 6, and you just kind of go down from there. If you did not follow that procedure, please rewind and watch it again. I'm going to talk you through one more. One thing to notice here is that there is no squared term. So another way of looking at this is x to the fourth plus 3x cubed plus 0x squared plus 1x plus 3. You have to have a placeholder for every single exponent going down from the leading exponent. So that's why I'm adding this term in right here, the 0x squared. And I'm dividing by x plus 3, so I'm going to find what the 0 would be. So x would be -3. That's what I'm going to be using for synthetic division. So I'm going to have -3, and I'm going to take the coefficient from each of these terms. So I would have 1, 3, 0, 1, and 3. And so the first one just gets brought down, and then I'm just going to multiply, add, multiply, add. So -3 times 1, that goes right here. And I'm going to add those together. Then I have -3 times 0, that's 0. I'm going to add those together. And then I have -3 times 0 again. And then I have -3 times 1, and I get 0 for the remainder again. I'm starting with x to the fourth. I'm going to go one lower than that. So this becomes 1x to the third plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 1. Now we don't need to include these middle terms. So it's just going to be x cubed plus 1. We will certainly be practicing this more in class, probably not tomorrow, but the day after that. See you then.